Hello, thank you for joining the Lazaridis School for a Beyond the Degree video series. My name is Graham McCormick, and I'm the Corporate Engagement Officer for the Lazaridis School of Business Economics at Wilfrid Laurier University and a BBA alumnus from 2011. Today, we're joined by Simran Hayer, Consultant, Cyber and Strategic Risk at Deloitte, and an alumna of the Business Technology Management Program, class of 2018. Simran specializes in cybersecurity strategy and architecture and has worked with clients from various industries, including retail, finance, energy, and the public sector. Simran, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Graham. I'm excited to be here.
Well, to get things going, you did your bachelor's degree in business technology management at the Lazaridis School. Why did you choose Laurier, and what drew you to the BTM program?
Yeah, great question. Well, I chose Laurier because I wanted to get away from home, and Laurier was far away from my parents' house. No, I'm kidding. That was one of the reasons. But I've always been interested in business, and I knew business was always an area that I wanted to get into. And when I saw that Laurier had a BTM program, it seemed very intriguing because it was like combining business and technology, and I knew tech was, a great industry to get into in terms of job security. I knew I'd always have, a job if I had some kind of tech background. So I guess it was just like the smart decision. But also it had a co-op program, and I knew that I wanted to get at least some work experience before I graduated, because again, that would just be, I think, more attractive towards employers, hiring people out of school who have some industry experience already. So yeah, that's kind of what drew me to the BTM program. And I think I was reading some of the pamphlets before I accepted, and it said that there were all of these different jobs that you could get once you get the degree, or might be able to get, or you'll be qualified for. And I was like, wow, this is great. There's like such a variety of different jobs that you can get hired into. So that's kind of what really drew me to it in the end.
You make an excellent point. The BTM program, allows you to come out and do so many different things and really prepares you, for full-time employment. Now, one of the other things the BTM program really prides itself on is the small class size and the close-knit culture. Can you talk a little bit about the experience, being a student in the BTM program?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's a lot smaller of a campus in Brantford compared to Waterloo or a lot of other universities as well. So you get a lot of one-on-one time with your professors, I would say. Smaller class sizes. You get to know your peers as well. And I still keep in touch with some of the professors that I met at Laurier as well. So really build that personal connection, which was something that I really liked about it. And then also, you can end up being a bigger fish in a smaller pond, because you just have more opportunity to do things. So you can be a little bit more entrepreneurial and like start your own stuff, because chances are some of these things won't exist by the time you're there. So it was just a great opportunity for me as a person to develop, I feel, because it was like smaller space, and I felt a little bit more confident, like being a little bit more extroverted, personally being an introverted person. So yeah, I really like the small nature of the campus and the class sizes.
You mentioned something earlier, part of one of the reasons you chose the BTM program was because of the co-op, and all students are enrolled in the co-op program. Can you tell us a little bit about how your work terms complemented your in-class learnings?
Yeah, I think there was a huge difference in the way I learned after going into co-op compared to before. I think before I didn't have, a lot of work experience or like job experience. So when I learned things in class, it was like very kind of theoretical, and like you kind of understood what the professors were talking about, and you kind of relate to it. But after actually going and doing my co-op terms, so I did one at Manulife, which is a huge insurance company, and then I also did one at Capitalize for Kids, which is a smaller like startup, I just learned so much more about how companies actually operate and how important technology is in businesses of a large scale and a small scale as well. So when I actually went back to class and did my courses, it gave me more context, and I was able to relate to some of the ideas and topics that were being discussed a lot better. So I really love that it was like a mix up between co-op terms and in-class courses as well.
No, that sounds like, two really interesting experiences. And I guess on top of that, you got paid for those jobs as well.
Yeah, that was great as well.
So, focusing a little bit more, while you were a student, you were a member of the first competitive case travel team, and you were heavily involved with the first case at BTM, which is an after-class case analysis session with Professor McMurray.
Yeah.
How do you think studying cases helped you with your coursework?
I think it just goes back to just having that context, and having, like, when you read a course, you kind of immerse yourself and you put yourself into the position of the person who that case is written in their perspective of, if that's like the owner or if that's a consultant. You kind of put yourself in that shoe and you feel more responsible for the outcome of that business, and it kind of makes it a little bit more personal to you, rather than just reading a textbook and this is like a hypothetical situation. This is like kind of it's just a little bit more personal. So that's what I really liked about it, and it kind of gives me a story and something to relate to. But then also you're actually applying the things that you're learning in preparing for your cases as well. So I think it's like basically taking what you've learned in class and in your courses, then applying that to a real world situation. And then at the end of the day, you have to present it to people and you get judged on that, and you take a lot of learning away from that, because you might think your ideas are so great and you've nailed it on the head and you've learned everything, and then the judges are like, well, actually this doesn't make sense and this doesn't make sense and this doesn't make sense. And then you're like, okay. And it's in those moments that you actually learn, right, from making mistakes and thinking about things from someone else's perspective. So that's what I really appreciate from the whole case at BTM program.
You make some excellent points, and case study and case work is just different, right? You get to apply the learnings and learn how to handle to a degree rejection and, man, that was a bad idea, let's go rethink it, right?
Yeah.
Now, after graduating, you joined Deloitte in Toronto as part of their cyber risk services practice, and you've been quickly climbing the corporate ladder. How do you think your BTM degree has helped prepare you for your career thus far and differentiate you from some of your peers?
Yeah, I guess it's funny because when I interviewed for the job that I have right now, which is in cybersecurity, I distinctly remember doing my capstone project. So the capstone project in BTM, I don't know if it still exists right now, but when I was there, it was like the last course that you do, and it was like this huge project, and I had to create a security architecture strategy for Uber, which was really interesting. But that kind of was the first time I was introduced to security and security architecture. And when I went for my interview, I was like, oh, this is like actually something that I learned in school. So I printed out my my project that I submitted at Laurier and brought it to my interview. And I was like, look at this, thing that I did. And this is what I took away from it. And they were like pretty impressed with that I was actually able to actually had some of the concepts and some of the the language, like security specific language down already. So that was like something that was actually directly related to my job. But other things, of course, like just overall business skills in terms of how to manage financials and also tech skills. I know we did a lot of, one of my favorite courses was about business systems, where we learned about how to create use case diagrams and use a lot of UML diagramming techniques, which comes into play as a business analyst. So those were like some pretty critical things that I actually took away from my program, and I actually use daily in the work that I do. And also being a consultant, you work with clients from so many different industries. And I think having that experience, that business and tech background, being able to relate to your clients and actually understand where they're coming from, understand their different industries, some of their problem areas. It just makes the conversation a lot easier with them. Yeah, so I like that I had like a broad background in both business and tech, and then I'm able to bring that into conversations with my clients as well.
It's just amazing about, your capstone project was, sort of on the thing that, exactly what they were looking for when you applied. And,
Yeah.
You must have just blown their socks off when they realized, oh my goodness, the student has the experience, knows what she's talking about,
Yeah.
and can kind of hit the ground running.
I know, and now I look back at it and I'm like, wow, this actually wasn't even that good, but it was better than anything else, right? So,
well, and it, to them, it shows, your ability to want to learn and try new things, and really trying to understand those new concepts, which the practice you're working in, that's all about that, right? It's all about, what's kind of on the cutting edge and what's new technology, and how is it, again, how do you relate it back to your clients in these, vastly different industries?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the clock and I'm noticing we're almost out of time. I have one last question. What advice would you have for any students, who are looking at applying to the BTM program?
Who are looking to applying, I would say if you're interested in technology, but don't want to, be a programmer or don't want to code necessarily, I think it's a great program to get into. I think it teaches you a lot of the fundamentals and the foundations of business and tech, and the co-op experience is really great. So be prepared to try different things, and I think by joining this program, you'll learn a lot about what you like and what you don't like. So that's kind of one of the main things that I took away from it. I did some co-op terms and I was like, this is not really what I want to do. This is what I thought I wanted to do, but I'm learning that it's not. And then I kind of pivoted and I tried something else. So it's a lot of like trial and error, trying to figure yourself out. And I think that the program overall provides a great platform for someone to be able to do that. So yeah, my advice would be try things. Try it all, do it all.
Simran, thank you for sharing your insights and experience today. I know it'll be of great value to everyone in the Lazaridis School and Laurier community. Thank you again for watching Beyond the Degree, featuring Simran Hayer, consultant, cyber and strategic risk at Deloitte, and a graduate of the Lazaridis School.
Thank you. Bye.